Good morning or good afternoon, you cool cats and kittens. I don't know what time it is, but it's time for math. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we do, I just want to let you know that I posted a video yesterday. If you're feeling discouraged or if you're feeling down in the dumps about what is going on and what is happening, please, it is a video of inspiration. And I just pray that we all can, work together and get through this. I know this is so unexpected dealing with Auntie Rona and Uncle Virus. No one expected this. No one saw this coming. But as always, we are going to push through and triumph, and we're going to get it in. That's just what we do. All right. Um, so with all that being said, we are going to continue on with slope, and we're going to review slope, how to find slope, how to identify slope through pictures, and we are going to be introduced to the slope intercept formula and the Y-intercept and all that good jazz. All right, so if you are watching the playback, make sure you take good notes and make sure you're paying attention. All right, so yesterday we talked about slope and we defined slope as a way to determine the direction of a line and how slanted or how steep the line is. And as you can see here on the screen share, we have 4 types of slope, okay? We have a positive slope and a negative slope. Let me say this again about the positive and the negative slope. When we learn how to read, we read things from left to right. And so when it comes to reading slopes, because people can say, well, this is a positive slope because it's going up, or this is a positive slope because it's going down. That's the total opposite. When we read from left to right. So we're going to apply that concept with reading positive slopes and negative slopes. So making sure that the further right that you go, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the further right you go, you see that the line is going up. So remember, when the further right you go and the line is going up, that is a positive slope. Same thing with the negative slope. The only difference is it's the opposite. The further right you go and the line is going down, it is a negative slope, okay? So again, do not be confused with the quadrants, and I'll get into that again momentarily. But remember, the further right you go, if your line is going down, if it's negative, the further right you go, if it's going up, it is a positive slope. Okay, next we have zero slope, which is a horizontal line. Now, if they give you 2 coordinates and they have the exact same number, and the numbers both have to be positive or negative, you can't have one or the other because it's not the same. So, for example, they've given us 9, 8, and negative 2, 8. Well, I do not have to use this formula down here because my slope is 0. Okay, and I'll prove that to you all momentarily as well. Last but not least, we have undefined. Now, undefined slope is a vertical line. And let me also say this, 0 is a number. Undefined is nothing, okay? So again, 0 is an actual number, which can be defined. Undefined is something that cannot be defined. So keep in mind that when you have a vertical line, you have an undefined slope, and that means you'll have the same x coordinates. So your same x coordinates, which is 7 here and 7 here, they would be the same. They can both be negative or they can both be positive. One can't be negative and the other can't be positive. They both have to be the same, like identical twins, okay? And just a quick recap, the x coordinate in an ordered pair comes first and then your y. A lot of people switch the two and confuse the two. But remember, x coordinate is first, y is second. The x coordinate is represented the horizontal, okay? And your y is represented vertically. So x is your x-axis, that's why it's the x coordinate is first. And then you have your y-axis, which is the y coordinate, which is vertical. Okay. And this is the formula that we would use if we were given coordinates. Okay, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is nothing more than a fraction. A lot of things in algebra deal with fractions. So, fractions are the foundations of a lot of things. So be very careful and make sure that you also recognize that you are going to be dealing with positive and negative numbers, which are integers. So slope formula deals with subtracting integers, which deals with the keep, change, change, or keep, change, opposite rule, and it also deals with fraction, okay? Make sure that you know that, that's important. All right, so yesterday, and I'm going to make this a little bigger here. So yesterday, we identified the different types of slope on this page. I'm going to make it bigger so that you can see. Hopefully that's not too big, but hopefully you can see it nonetheless. All right, so this is what we did on yesterday. We just identified the types of slope, and this is what I was referring to when I was talking about quadrants. Quadrants are simply parts of the coordinate plane. And because there are 4 parts, that's why they're called quadrants. Okay, and quadrants are counted counterclockwise. So this quadrant would be quadrant 1. As a matter of fact, this would be quadrant 1. This will be quadrant 2. This will be quadrant 3. It's an ugly looking 3. Make it work. And this is quadrant 4. Okay. So in quadrant 1, your X values and your Y values are positive. So everything is positive in quadrant 1. In quadrant 2, you have a negative X, but your Y is positive. Okay. So we have a negative X and a positive Y. In quadrant 3, everything is negative because you have a negative X coordinate and a negative Y coordinate, okay? And in quadrant 4, you have a positive X coordinate, but a negative X coordinate, okay? So one way to remember positive, negative, things of the like, when things are going right in your life, or when things are going up in your life, it's positive, okay? When things are going to the left in your life, or when things are going down in your life, that is negative. See, with Miss Hampton's class, you get life lessons, you get everything. You never know what you're going to get, but just know that it's going to be good and you can apply it to your everyday life. All right, so with all that being said, we did a couple of problems yesterday, just identifying what kind of slope we had, okay? Whoa, now that's way. Let me go ahead and make that small. All right. Uh-oh. All right. All right. Okay. Well, I'll just leave it like that. All right. So we did an example yesterday of finding the actual slope when we were given 2 coordinates. Okay. So again, wow, change my cursor. So again, you're going to be given 2 coordinates. You're going to be given, for example, we used -8 and 8, and we use -2, 8. Now, again, going back to the very first slide, based on the coordinates that were given to me, I automatically know I have a 0 slope. Why do I have a 0 slope? Simply because 8 is positive here in my Y coordinate, and 8 is positive here in my other Y coordinate. Now, in the event, again, if you don't believe me, or you just one of those people that just want to make sure that I'm right, which is cool, have no issues with being challenged. That's what makes a great educator. We are going to follow the steps of how to find the slope by using the slope formula. So the first thing you would do, you are going to assign your coordinates or name your numbers, okay? Now, I listed up here first, and I listed under each coordinate second. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I got a knock at the door, so I am going to pause for one moment, and I'll be right back. I got a package. Whoop, whoop, I got a package. Don't worry, it's just ink, y'all. It's just ink. Okay, my apologies about that. But anywho, so as you can see here, I labeled each number and designated it x1, y1, x2, y2. So because -8 is my x coordinate for the first set, because this is the first set, okay? That's why we named it x1. I named this 8 y1 because 8 is the y coordinate for the first set. Okay, so does everyone see x1, y1? So whatever you do on this side, you got to do to this one. So -2 would be x2 because -2 is my x coordinate of the second set. And the same thing for my for my y coordinate, excuse me. All right. So once I've done this, I am now going to substitute these numbers in for the letters. And that's all I did. We just plug and chug, okay? So I have 8 minus 8 over -2 minus -8. Remember, when you're working with negative numbers as it relates to subtraction, you want to make sure that you put your second number, if it's negative, in parentheses. That's very important, okay? So I know 8 minus 8 is 0. I know that. But down here, I have to do my subtracting integers rule, which is keep, change, or keep, change, opposite, okay? So when I do this, I keep the -2, I change the subtraction to addition, and I make my second number the opposite, or I change it to the opposite. So the opposite of -8 is 8. So in essence, I have -2 plus 8, or 8 minus 2, which gives me 6. Now this is a fraction. So remember, the whole formula is nothing more than a fraction. And for slope, that's what you want. You want a fraction. That's really what you want. Whole numbers are cool too, but you want a fraction. You do not need to change it to a decimal or to a percent. You don't need to do any of that as it relates to slope. Okay, so I have a fraction, and fractions are nothing more than division problems. So because this is nothing more than a division problem, 0 divided by 6 gives me 0, and I made a smiley face because it proved my point that my slope is 0. All right. So, Mr. McFadden, how do you feel so far about this review? Is it good for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you have any questions so far?
mm, Not really.
Okay. All right. So remember, if you have any questions, you can take yourself off of mute and you can just be like, Miss Hampton, I got a question. All right.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not sure if you're still the only one here, but thank you again so much. I really do, appreciate you. And for anybody that is getting ready to join us, please feel free. And if you are watching the playback, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So now what we've done is we've done another example here. We just followed the same rules. We named our numbers or assigned our coordinates. We did -12 is x1 and 7 is y1. We said 6 was x2 and -3 was y2. We just plugged and chugged our numbers in. All right, so we have -3 minus 7 because y2 minus y1. And then we have 6 minus negative 12. We have x2 minus x1. And when we do our keep, change for both, we have negative 3 plus negative 7, which gives us negative 10. And we have 2 negatives here that makes it a positive. So we have 6 plus 12, which gives us negative 10 over 18. Now, with fractions, as you all should know, but if you don't know or don't remember, this is just a friendly reminder, you must simplify your fractions. Very important. You cannot leave fractions unsimplified. For whatever reason, it just makes math teachers very nervous. Okay, so make sure that you simplify fractions when necessary. Okay, now we have negative, where'd you go? Okay, so we have negative 10 over 18, and we reduce that to negative 5 over 9. Okay, all right, so that's how we do that there. All right, and then yesterday we did a couple of problems here. And so we just found the slope for each of these. If you watched the playback on yesterday, your assignment, you were to do 12, 13, and 14. That was your assignment. And if you're catching this playback today, this is just a review of what we did yesterday. But we are continuing on by adding y-intercept and the slope-intercept formula today. Okay? Now, I'm going to try to make this big. I think I can. Because today what I want to focus on, well, I think that's big enough. What I want to focus on today, I want to focus on this thing called the slope-intercept formula. Now I'm going to use this as my slope-intercept. I can't type. Intercept formula. All right. So the slope-intercept formula is basically used when you are trying to identify not only the slope, but also the y-intercept, okay? Let me just go ahead and leave it like that. All right, so the slope-intercept formula is as follows. What I want to use, okay. It is y is equal, wow, it went away. Y is equal to mx plus b, okay? Where b is your slope, I'm sorry, m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Now I'm going to come over here and we have to figure out what in the world is a y-intercept. Well, as I tell my students, I'm not a big sports fan. If you know me, you know that I just like to see, I like to see the men run. That's all I know. All I know is men in uniforms running. That's it. Don't ask me about no plays. Don't ask me what their names are. I know nothing of the sort. But what I do know is in football, they have this thing called the interception. And so when you intercept the ball, I think when the Atlanta Falcons throw the ball and they and the other team catches it, that's an interception. So they crossed. So that is what an interception is. So we're going to apply that concept to the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line, because this is a linear equation, okay? So this is where the line crosses at the y-axis. So remember, the y-axis is the vertical. Okay? The y-axis is the vertical. Okay? So I'm going to write that here. Y-intercept is where. Now I'm going to make it smaller. Where the line crosses at the y-axis. Okay? Now, there's also, there is a such thing as there is a such thing as an x-intercept, but don't worry about that. I think that's more, I don't know, trigonometry. So don't worry about that. Okay. All right. Let me make this, let me move it up just a little bit. All right. I don't want it to be in the way. All right. So remember, the slope represents M. That will tell you how slanted or how steep your line is. Whereas the y-intercept is where the line crosses at the y-axis, and it is represented by the letter B. Please don't ask me why. I don't know. Okay. So I want to look at these four as an example. So that way you can know how to identify the slope and the y-intercept. And these formulas can be written in many different ways, okay? So I want us to look at number 17. We have y is equal to negative 5x plus 1. I'm sorry, negative minus 1. Now, what is, you want your formulas to look like this. You want your formulas to look like look like in the format, okay? So with that being said, negative 5 would be my slope. So negative 5 is my slope.
Can you hear me okay?
Now you're kind of going in and out, but is that you, Miss Tiffany? Okay, I can't hear her anymore. All right, but Miss Tiffany, if you are on, you can go ahead and just put your mic on mute. Okay. But thank you for joining us, though. I really appreciate it. All right. So now my y-intercept is negative 1. Okay. Because as you can see here, M is the number or the coefficient that is next to X, and B stands alone. Okay. So this is my, let me go back and change colors here. This is my M. All right. And this is my B. And remember, the number takes the sign. So because the number takes the sign, that means that my y-intercept is negative 1. Okay, so that's going to be very important. All right. So now if you all can take off your mics, if my class can take off the mute off their mics, I want to see if we can go over number 18, 19, and 20 together. All right. So number 18. Which number represents the slope? Do, 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 do. Well, there's only 2 numbers. So which number, and number 18, which one represents the slope? Is it 1/3 or is it negative 4?
1/3.
Yes, sir. 1/3 represents my slope. So that means which number represents my y-intercept?
The negative 4.
Negative 4. All right, Mr. McFadden, you own it. All right. We cooking with gas. All right. Number 19. Tell me, dites-moi, that means tell me in French. Tell me what number represents the slope.
On which one?
On number 19. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it now. I had to scroll over.
Oh, okay.
The 1/5 is the slope.
Yes, sir. So this is my slope. And that means what is my y-intercept?
The negative 4.
Negative 4. All right. So far, so good. Yes, no, so.
Yes.
All right. Now, number 20 looks a little funny, don't it? What does number 20 say?
X equal 1.
X equal 1. So this is where we have to use a little bit of deductive reasoning. So number 17, 18, and 19, they all had y equals something, didn't they?
Uh-huh.
But number 20 has x equals something.
Uh-huh.
So just a rule of thumb, and this is a shortcut. Anytime or if you ever see anything like this, x equaling something, it is undefined.
Undefined.
It is undefined. I'm going to explain why. Because that's what that's what y'all want me to do. The reason why this is undefined is, remember, with slope, we have to follow the y equals mx plus b. Okay, so y has to equal
Keep
something.
breaking up, Miss Ham.
Uh-oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good.
Okay, you know what? I gotta figure out this mic thing. Maybe I need to plug in a mic. Maybe that's what I need to do. But anyway, I'll figure the mic stuff out.
All right.
So you want your equation to have y equals something. Because if y equals something, that means you have three choices of a positive slope, a negative slope, or even a zero slope. Okay? So I don't know if it's on this page or not, but let me scroll down to see. Okay. Nope. It's not on here. Okay. So I will write an example of what a zero slope equation would look like. I will write an example of that. Okay. Well, actually, let me type it in. I'm not gonna, because that takes too long. All right. All right. All right. So if you see something like y is equal to, I'll say -9 or -8. This has a slope of 0. Because remember, with a y-intercept, the line crosses at the y-axis. So therefore, this line with a 0 slope will cross at -8. So do you see how that works? And if you don't see it, just say I don't see it. Because I'll actually go ahead and graph it as well. Come on. Okay. All right. So remember, slopes can either be positive, negative, or 0, but it has to have this y equals something. Here at number 20, we see that x is equal to something. And because you have x is equal to something, that means it's undefined, and therefore it is a straight line, which actually crosses at the x-intercept. So this is where this whole x-intercept business comes from. But again, don't worry about that.
All right.
All right. So Mr. McFadden,
Yeah.
I apologize for putting you on the spot, sir, but I just want to make sure that you understand and that everything is good with the sound. And can you see my face?
Yeah, I can see your face. You just keep breaking up every now and then when you talk.
I know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's my internet connection. But I'm going to really try my best to work on it. Okay.
All right.
But I really do appreciate you. So, but everything is good with this lesson so far, right?
Yeah. Everything's good.
All right.
Well, I wanted to go back because my internet was messing up. So what did y'all do for one?
For
17?
We are just identifying the slope and the y-intercept. That's all we did.
Oh. I was over here solving.
Well, you technically can't solve these types of things because that goes into functions, and I ain't ready for that yet. So, but no, Miss Tiffany, all we're doing, we were just simply identifying slope and y-intercepts. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now this is what I want to show you very quickly, and then I'm gonna let y'all do some work. That's what I want to look at. All right. So can y'all see number 21 and 26?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, Miss Tiffany, can you see it as well?
I couldn't hear you.
Can you see numbers 21 and 26?
Yes, I can see 21 through, you said 26?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right. All right. So this is what I want you to look at. I want us to look at number 25 because y'all are going to do 26 in a minute. All right. Actually, y'all are going to do, let me do 26 and then y'all can do 1 through 21 through 25. Okay. So now you remember how we had y equals mx plus b format?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
numbers 25 and 26, they look a little funny, don't they? They don't look like that, do they? They don't look like the y equals mx plus b format. They don't look like that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that means we are going to have to manipulate the equation to make it look like y equals mx plus b. Okay? Does that make sense?
No,
Right. So we're
yeah.
gonna have to subtract from, well, add to both sides.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a heap of stuff. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do very quickly. I'm going to, oh, and now don't be like this. Okay, I'm talking about the board, not y'all. That was 5x plus 2y equals 6. So let me go ahead. We have 5x
Plus 2
plus 2y equals 6. All right, so remember the goal is for us to get y equals mx plus b format. Okay, come on. All right. All right. Now the first thing that we have to do is what? Does anybody remember what we have to do?
I'm sorry.
Does anybody remember the first step in changing this equation to this format? We actually went over this right before Auntie Rona and Uncle Virus came to stay.
I mean, don't you supposed to combine like terms?
Well, what like terms are there? Are there any
Well,
like terms?
no, but I'm looking at it like we are going to, choose one of the two and add to both sides to isolate the variable.
Well, that's the point. We are going to isolate the variable, but we want to isolate this y to be by itself. So the first thing we have to look at is, you see how x is on this side of the equation? So that means we're going to have to move this 5x over here. Now, Miss Tiffany, we do that, but we do that by subtracting 5x from both.
Can't hear you, Miss Hampton.
My mic is, you know what?
Next week is gonna be a better week. I think we are over here like.
I mean, well, hey, I can't help where the mic is on my laptop. I can't.
I ain't judging you. I'm just saying it's also new, and so we have more of the bugs worked out.
But I will say this: I really think this first week has gone better than expected. I think. I mean, there's always room for improvement. Always remember that. All right. All right. So let me see. Now, remember, I don't know if y'all remember when I did this, but remember how I wrote my 5x or my variable out to the side?
Right.
Remember, these are unlike terms. So no, you're not going to subtract 6 from 5x. That's not going to leave you with 1x. That's not going to leave you with any other configuration that you can think of, okay? These are unlike terms. So remember, you cannot add nor subtract unlike terms. Okay, you can't do that. Ooh, my hair. All right. So the good news is this cancels out. All right, so that cancels out. And now I am left with 2y
Equals 6.
Equals negative 5x plus 6. But you got it though, Mr. McFadden. You on the right track. Okay. All right. So now, quick question. Does this equation look like this equation up here?
No.
Not yet, because we have to do one more thing. And what is that? What we got to do?
We got to isolate the, we still got to isolate the y by itself. So
but how do we do that?
What we're going to do is we are going to subtract we're going to subtract 2 from the opposite side.
Not subtract. I'm doing something with this too, but it's not subtraction.
We adding it?
Nope. How am I going to get y by itself? You're right. I'm doing something with the 2, but what operation am I doing?
Inverse?
No.
It sounded good.
But I appreciate it though. Remember how I always say the answers are right in front of you, and if it was a snake, it would bite you? What did I just do? I just did something. I made some lines, didn't I?
Oh, you're going to divide from both sides.
Thank you. Oh, Lord, we got an Amber Alert, Jesus. This is not the time for any other kind of alerts right now. But yes, we are going to divide. Remember, so Miss Tiffany, you were right. We did do something with the 2, and we are going to isolate the variable of y. But remember, we have to divide by the coefficient that's in front of the y. Okay? So when we do all of this foolery, we are going to cancel these out. So that's going to leave me with y. Okay? Now, what is negative 5 divided by 2? I'm waiting for somebody to give me the answer. Because, yeah, I'm waiting for it. Please don't tell me negative 2 and a half. Don't tell me that.
Well, isn't that just going to stay the same?
Exactly. Because remember, you want your slope to be a fraction or a whole number. You do not want it to be a decimal because that's just silly. So you are absolutely correct, Miss Tiffany. My answer is going to be negative 5 over 2x. And what is 6 divided by 2?
3.
3. All right, so now we can identify our slope and we can identify the y-intercept. So what is my slope?
Y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 3.
Well, that's the equation, but which number is the slope?
Oh, the slope is the 3.
No. What did you say, Mr. McFadden?
Negative 5 over 2.
Negative 5 over 2 is my slope.
Oh, that's the B-intercept, my bad.
And now, Miss Tiffany, the y-intercept is 3. Okay? So remember, slope, y-intercept. Okay? So how do we feel about that particular assignment? I mean, with this particular concept, do we feel like we can do it?
Mm-hmm.
I know we can. Mr. McFadden ain't say nothing now. All right.
I'm still lost with it, but I'm gonna get it. Eventually.
Okay. Well, just remember, you're just moving and manipulating letters and numbers. That's really all you're doing. You're just moving stuff around to make it work out for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. Don't we do this every day? When it comes to, our paychecks and we have to move around stuff, we have to do payment arrangements, or you know what, I can only get so much. I can only get $20 worth of groceries here, so I can put $10 in my gas tank here. So that's really what you're doing, if that makes any sense. Okay. So with all that being said, I'm going to go back to the previous page here, and I want y'all to work on 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. I only want you to identify the slope and the y-intercept. That's all I want you to do. Now remember, number 25, we're going to have to work it like number 26. Okay? So if you want to put yourselves back on mute, you can. I am going to go ahead and put myself on mute for a moment. And I'm gonna open up my ink. Yay! I will be right back in about 5-6 minutes. Is that cool? Yes, no, or I need more time.
That's fine.
Okay.
Or I don't know. Do you think you want it to be longer?
Well, all I want you to do is identify the slope and the y-intercept.
Well, I'm talking about
Mr. McFadden.
No, that'll be fine.
Okay, so I will be back, and y'all know I can't see. I'll be back at 11:50. I'll say 11:58. I'll be back at 11:58. You all can go ahead and put yourselves on mute. I'm gonna put myself on mute, and I'll be right back after these messages.
Okay. What is this? 22.
All right, everybody, how are we faring? Are we ready to go over these really quick? Or do we need more time? Hello, it's me. Uh, y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, okay, okay. Are y'all ready to go over which one is the slope and which one is the Y-intercept?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Miss Tiffany, are you still with us? Okay, maybe she stepped away from her desk or something. Okay. We're going to go ahead and review or go over which one is the slope and which one is the Y-intercept. All right. So number 21, please identify the slope and the Y-intercept for me.
The 1/4 is the slope,
Yes.
and
And
the 1 is the Y-intercept.
yes. Very good. So as you can see, I'm going to be writing or underlining the slope in blue and the Y-intercept in red. All right. Number 22.
-2/3 is the slope.
Negative 2/3 is the slope. And what's my Y-intercept?
The 1.
The 1.
The 1.
Yes, sir. -1. Excellent. All right. Number 23. What we got? Which is my slope?
That's the one that you would have had to work that one out, right? Correct?
No. Mm-mm.
So the negative X is the slope?
Yes. What's my coefficient though? What's my number in
Huh?
front of that? What's my number in front of that?
In front of what?
In front of the negative X. And I know what you're thinking, Mr. McFadden. There is no number, Miss Hampton. Are you thinking that?
I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. I don't know, y'all. I'm trying not to scream, you know.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Better.
Okay. Okay. So the question I asked was, what is the number in front of the X or the
There is
negative?
no there
You
is
said
no
what
number.
number is the number in front of the X?
Yes.
There.
It's
I
1, ain't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, but Mr. McFadden, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say there is no number, Miss Hampton. Remember, the coefficient for a letter that stands by itself is 1. So whenever you see a negative X, just know that the number is an invincible 1. So my
Okay.
slope for this is -1. Okay,
Okay.
so do we see? So my slope is negative because they're not going to write 1x.
Yeah.
They're not going to write that. So just know that that is my slope, and that actually looks more like a more like a fraction. But wait, I don't want to be like what? All right. All right. So that is my slope, and my number for my slope is -1. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what about my Y-intercept?
It's 2.
Excellent. All right. Number 24. What's my slope?
24.
-1.
-1. Yeah.
-1. Excellent job, y'all. All right. And then, therefore, what is my slope? I'm sorry, my Y-intercept.
1. -1.
Yep, -1. Now, 25. Look, we may have to work this one out, huh? Of course.
Yeah.
Let me see if I got the answer. Oh, well, go ahead. Y'all go ahead.
You know, I really do love your ambition and eagerness, Miss Tiffany. You know, that's what us earth signs are all about. We're earth people, so we're very ambitious. And I recognize that. And I ain't mad about it. All right. So I want you to tell me what is the first thing that I'm going to do?
Gonna subtract 2x from, well,
Yeah, you're right.
you're
You
gonna
ain't got
subtract it from both sides, but you ain't gonna put it directly underneath the 9.
sure not. Because if I put it underneath that, that's going to, my brain is going to think, oh, I have to subtract that. But remember, and I'm going to write this here. These are unlike terms, so you can't do anything with them. Okay? So these are unlike terms. So please don't say my answer is 7x or anything, any other configuration that you can think of. Okay. Ooh. Unlike terms. All right. All right. So now, what do I have left? Because this
Have
cancels out.
3y
Uh-huh.
equals negative 2x plus 9.
Okay. Negative 2x. Ooh, plus 9. All right. So before I go any further, Mr. McFadden, do you see what we did there?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay.
It's starting to make sense.
Okay. So remember, all I did was I just moved my 2x on this side and I just made it the opposite. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what do I need to do now?
You want to tell her or you want me to do it?
Anybody can tell me at this point.
Well, I just try to give him a chance.
I know. And that's why I love you, Sugar, because you be giving people a chance.
So the next thing we do is we got to divide 3 from all 3 sides, or all 3.
I got you. You got to divide 3. And you're absolutely right. Okay. Because remember, I want, and I'm going to write it up here. I want this format. I want y equals mx plus b. See, numbers 21 through 24, it was already in that format. So I didn't have to move anything. I didn't have to do anything. It was already ready for me. But for numbers 25 and 26, I have to maneuver and manipulate some stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now, once I do that, tell me what you got.
You got y by itself equals the negative 2x over 3 plus 3.
Uh-oh, who buzzing? That was a quick buzz too. Buzz, buzz. All right. So after I have divided each coefficient, or constant rather, by 3, that cancels out. So I am left with y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, so now we can identify what our slope is. So tell me, Mr. McFadden, what number is my slope?
You said which number? I couldn't hear you.
Which number is my slope?
Yours keep breaking up.
What number is the slope?
Okay. The negative 2 over 3?
Yes, sir. And then what is my Y-intercept?
The
3?
Yes, sir.
You better do it, then. That's what I'm saying. True.
And for the record,
You got to be ready for these tests.
And remember, for the record, this is just a different platform for Miss Hampton's math class, but we really do, we really act like this, okay? We really do. So this is 100% us all the time. Okay? We encourage each other, we help each other, they laugh at my corny jokes, so it all works out for me. All right. So how do you all feel about today's lesson?
Good.
Okay, Mr. McFadden, how about you? You feel okay? Is it all right?
I didn't hear you, Miss Hampton.
She
It
said, how
cut
do you
out.
feel about today's lesson?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
In the understanding.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Well, what I think is when you sit just straight in front of the computer or whatever you're using and your level, you know, your posture is just straight and you're level with the device that you're using, we can hear you. But when you try and talk and you move around, then that's when we can't hear you. Like, I guess you be looking at your notes, so you might lean in trying to read something on the side and you be talking, but we can't hear you.
Okay, what about now?
I mean, we can hear you fine now, but we can't see.
You can't. Oh. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, once again, whoever is watching this video, whether you are one of my students watching the playback or you just run across this video, yeah, this is how I operate. Can't deviate away from it. I'm sorry. All right. So I think this week being the first full week of virtual teaching, I think that we all did an amazing job, given the circumstances that we are all in at this point. Of course, it's going to get better, with the software, the technology that we're using. We're actually looking into using different types of technology, just to have a backup for the backup. So just be on the lookout for that. And I appreciate you all's time and willingness to still come to the virtual classes. I mean, again, I know it's not, the normal Miss Hampton class, but it is. You still, you just never know what you're going to get. But the main thing is I want us to still walk away with the confidence, and I still want us to walk away from the lessons that we are still getting. And I still want us to apply it, okay?
All right.
All right, so with all that being said, any other final questions? I'm gonna stop this screen share though. That's kind of what I'm gonna do. we at the end of this whole situation. Okay, so I guess so y'all good? Y'all straight?
So we doing Monday through Thursday, and is Wednesday optional? Because is it enrichment virtual day?
You know what? You see, you better be glad we are still recording. No, ma'am. We are still doing regular schmegular classes Monday through Wednesday. Okay, and that's where I'm that's what that is. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, for the people that's watching this playback, remember, go ahead and watch this video. I want you to work out the problems. Make sure that you understand the difference between slope and the Y-intercept. I didn't get an opportunity to show you how to graph these things, but next week is another week. So next week I'm going to show you how to graph all of those equations. Ooh, something in my eye. Okay, so with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. And I pray that you all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. Y'all be safe. And remember, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and stay home unless you have to get more quarantine snacks. Like, I got to go make me a run by now. Okay, so with all that being said, if there are no more questions, again, thank you all so much for joining me this morning, this afternoon. I really appreciate you all. And And as always, we're going to get through it. So no worries. We're going to get through it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Oh, my bad. Have a good weekend, y'all.
All right. We'll go.